Hey guys, Augiesaint here, and I'm bringing you guys my first tier list for the first Descendants. I know a little bit late to this, but as it is pre-season right now, we've got about a week before Season 1 comes out. I thought I want to get this out to you guys to give you my opinion, and that's just it. I gotta emphasize this, you know, the little disclaimer. This is totally my opinion tier list from the characters I have played. I usually don't like to do these kind of tier lists until I have fully built up and tested every single character. But just the amount of resources and callus you need, it's going to take me quite a while to fully build all the characters. I have built up quite a few of them. I have played all of them. I am mastering 26. We have everything unlocked in the game. So I have used and leveled everything up, but I have not fully built. When I say built, I mean like fully catalyzed, invest into a character. So in saying that, I believe every character in the game can be good. So if you really like the character, don't let any tier list or anybody persuade you from not playing it. Just play what you like, because you can build everything to be good. I mean, for Descendants, you can literally just slap on like defense mods and HP mods, and then that's it. You have a good Descendants. It's going to keep you alive, and you just need to stay alive while your gun goes ahead and kills everything. Obviously, some Descendants are stronger than others with abilities and stuff, so they can boost them and like enhance your gameplay for bossing or mobbing or whatever it may be. But like I said, anything can be good. Just put your mind to it, play it, don't let anyone persuade you. Unless you're that one Kyle man, sorry guys, you are coping, or the Asimios. Without further ado, let's hop straight into the video. So let's start it out with Bunny tier. Obviously, Bunny is going into her own tier. If you guys have been around my streams and my videos, you know I play a lot of Bunny. Main reason, Bunny is good at 95% of the game, as 95% of the game is, you know, collect the shiny materials and farming infiltration missions, just farming in general, mobbing and stuff. And Bunny is undoubtedly the best mobbing Descendant. She's not the best bosser by a long shot, but she's okay at bossing. Would I suggest you bring Bunny to bossing? No, because there's much better Descendants to do the job. Would I suggest taking Bunny to everything else? Bunny is just the queen of mobbing slash, you know, collecting materials and doing, you know, 95% of what the game is at the moment. So if you don't like Bunny, I'm sorry, but she is as good as she is because of her kit and how strong she is. That's just where she's gonna be. If you don't agree with this, it's totally fine. Like I said, my opinion. And then moving on to our buddy Jair. Now, I personally like Jair, but right now he's just in a bad spot. So we're gonna put him in B tier because his kit and everything is cool and like, but just it doesn't bring much to the how we currently play right now, because the gameplay is kind of like fast-paced at the moment. Like, you know, we're running as fast as we can, doing infiltration missions, doing all the stuff. We're usually speeding through content, and we're not like sitting there setting up. We don't have hard content, so to say, right now, but I'm sure in the future we will eventually get hard content. So in saying that, Jair doesn't really have time to set up and, you know, get cranking on all of his abilities. He is a pretty good support though with his healing and stuff like that. I have not tested to see how much it heals, but if it's anything like it used to be, then his healing should be pretty decent. But like I said, it's just other things, and he doesn't really have a place right now. Kind of like a lot of the support characters, you'll see them placing in B, just because he doesn't really have a spot. And also some of his skills are not scaling correctly, I believe. Like, they're not getting the skill power with these turrets. So instead of, you know, doing as much damage as they could right now, they are just not scaling well. So I think he's actually broken. So he might need a fix. We might have to add another tier as to, you know, needs to be fixed here. But we're just going to place him there for now. He's not as bad as Kyle and Esimio, but he's not doing very great right now. He just doesn't really fit, you know, the current meta, so to say. And then moving on, we have Shar. Now, Sharon's pretty decent at bossing. She's not the greatest at mobbing, although you can set her up for mobbing if you really want. Her bossing potential is actually really high, and it could actually almost put her into S. But since I have not built that bossing build and tried her out yet, I'm going to stick with an A for now, like a really high A tier. And everyone should have a Sharon, because you need to do those outposts with the stealth thing to get some of the specific amorphosis, to get some specific things. So definitely somebody you want to have. But would I use her other than doing stealth outposts? Probably not, although I do really want to build a sniper build around. I've seen some people do some crazy sniper builds with her, pushing her into S for bossing, but we are doing like a general overall tier list, so we're not actually going to do a specific tier list as of right now. Maybe the next tier list, if you guys want, we can separate and do like a mobbing tier list and a bossing tier list, but for now we're just doing like overall general tier list. So overall general use, I think she fits at an A pretty good. And now we're moving over to our boy Eugene. Now, we've actually been playing with him on stream today, trying to like fix the pub syndrome of pubs just keep dying and not doing damage. And I think if you fully build him out and you build him pretty well, he could be pretty strong to support the team. I do like his damage buffs that he provides, as well as the healing and everything. So I'm actually going to place him at A, as he does have pretty solid AoE with that Contagion Transcendence module. I don't know the name of it, but I used it and I've seen some stuff about it and it's pretty OP. So I'm going to leave him there at A. Again, nothing special. Would I recommend him to everybody? No, but if you do like a support role, I believe you can build him up to be a very strong support, and maybe in the future he'll have much better place, as right now he doesn't really have a spot in the current meta. nothing is really hard enough to warrant bringing a Eugene, although it does make it a lot easier, especially if you are doing public lobbies. Just get yourself like a really strong built up Enduring Legacy, build up your Eugene so you can heal a lot and keep everybody alive and yourself as well, and you can just go to town on the bosses and, you know, just keep everybody alive, because that seems to be the biggest problem in public lobbies, is everybody's always dying all the time or going in with like low level characters and stuff like that. Please stop doing that, guys. Do not go into intercepts at level 1, level 5, level 10, even level 20 and below. I recommend at least 35 and upwards before you go do some intercepts. Just level up first and then go to intercepts. But without getting lost in the sauce, let's move over to Simio. Now, I don't have much to say for him. I kind of wanted to make another tier under Kyle, as I feel like Kyle is a little bit better than him. He's the boy with a dream, pretty much. I really hope that he could be good, because I like explosions and fire. It's like one of my favorite elements. So I was really hoping he could be good, but his damage in that is actually not that bad. I have seen people build him up, and I've seen some stuff. People have showed me some things where he does decent boss damage, but it's just too much work. You know, you've got to place all those grenades, you've got to attach them, and you've got to detonate them. It's just too much effort for the value that you're getting back from it. Instead of, you know, spamming your skills there and attaching grenades and taking like 20 seconds to activate everything, you can just sit there and shoot with your Enduring Legacy and probably do more damage than what he's doing anyway. So I'm not a big fan of how he's working right now, although I do think they're going to probably rework him, and he's going to be the first person that needs a change in the future. So we'll be looking forward to him to see what they do with him. As again, I said, I like explosions and fires and all that kind of stuff. So I really hope he can come into like much better tier later on. So that's why I'm going to leave him as the boy with a dream. He's just there with Kyle right now. Sadly, not as good as he could be, but I think eventually he'll come up and you'll see some use on the Simio. Now moving on to everybody's musical parody, Luna. I'm just going to place her in A. I think she's good, although again, she's not worth the effort right now, as she just doesn't have a place in the meta right now. But the character's kit is very strong for boosting like the picks, for the skill and the reset, the cooldowns. She's got a pretty strong kit, although she's really annoying to play. So if you don't mind like a minigame, and pretty much if you are a god gamer, she's for you. If you want to prove something to everybody, go play Luna. Because, yeah, if you're playing Luna, you're pretty much for her AoE mobbing build. It's just a worse version of Bunny. And then for her supporting, she can't really heal. And that seems, like I said before, that seems to be the biggest problem with public lobbies right now, is people dying. And then obviously if you're dead, you can't do enough damage. So I always say to my chat, I'm like, if you take 0 and you times it by 100 with a DPS buff, what do you get? 0 times 100 is still 0. So if people aren't doing any damage because they're dead, you give them a damage buff, they're still not going to do the damage because they're dead. So in that case, Eugene, better support than Luna. Until Luna, obviously if you do take Luna with like a stacked team and like the picks to blow up stuff with like a coordinated team, I think she could be really strong. Although I have not tested this, as we haven't had any jacked up Lunas in the chat yet to go and try that out. So moving on to our boy Lepic. Now he's going to be the first S tier. I believe he is an S tier bosser. Mobbing, yeah, it's about A, B, something like that. He's pretty decent at mobbing, but again, if you're mobbing, just use Bunny for it. Like, what are you doing? Just play Bunny for it. That's it. And then Lepic he's really good at bossing, although he is a bursty kind of a boss character. So depending on how you build him, either you build him like Super Glass Cannon, the one phase, kill yourself, reset all the cooldowns. That does work on every boss pre-Turtle. Like Turtle, the Molten Fortress, and Gluttony, that will not work. But pretty much every boss, even if you do take 4 Lepics into Molten Fortress, you should still be able to burst. Even maybe with 3 Lepics, properly built Glass Cannon, you should be able to one phase and burst out the Molten Fortress. But for Gluttony, it's not going to work because he does have a massive crit res. So again, he is a really strong bosser, but he is a bursty type of bosser. So if you want to take him into the later fights like Gluttony and probably the new Void Interceptor we'll get in the future and everything going forward, he probably won't have enough damage to one phase them. But he still does have a great deal of burst damage. If you build him correctly, maybe you like rebuild him, make him a little bit more tanky, and actually value some cooldown, you can just use him for those little burst phase windows. And then you could probably change, like the current meta with him is to just use him to blow bosses up, which works great because you will be farming a lot of the earlier bossing. So that's why I believe he is still S tier and really strong, especially if you use him just to speed farm the earlier bosses, especially on solo mode as well. You can't clear any of the bosses faster solo with any other Descendant. And then moving on, we have Enzo. Now he is number 1 in the S tier, so Lepic, I'm sorry, you got to step back, you just got there, but Enzo is by far, you want the easiest public lobbies bossing experience, take Enzo. Enzo solves all your problems, he gives your team damage, he doesn't keep your team alive, but he does keep you alive quite insanely with his shield. If you build him correctly, you can have your shield up pretty much all the time. The shield drone is going to regen your shields if you have a lot of shields, pretty much makes you invincible. And the damage buff that he has is insane. So if you build like a good amount of cooldown and duration on him, you'll be having that buff up all the time. Also, if you do have the Firearm Supply Master, I believe is the Transcendent mod, that's even more damage. You have Enduring Legacy and Enzo, or even as a starting out weapon, you can have yourself the Tamer and Enzo. That's what I used pretty much all the way through like my initial bossing until I moved on into the later game where I actually started getting like the Enduring Legacy and then all these other good guns built up. This will take you through everything. I killed Molten Fortress, Frostwalker, all of that first time was with Tamer and the Enzo, just sitting there pumping out damage. And you can also res people pretty efficiently, even if the boss is targeting you, because of that massive shield drone. So you put down the shield drone. I have like over 4,000 shield, I think almost 5,000 shield on my Enzo. I'm just going to sit there and regen your shields like crazy. So it's really, really strong to keep you alive and then obviously give your teammates damage. And then you can res them a lot easier because you can permanently stay alive with your shield. So really, really great. I do really like Enzo and I hope he's the next one to get an ultimate because I will build him like tomorrow as soon as he gets an ultimate. I hope he is next after Freyna in Season 1. And then moving on to our boy Ajax, I think he belongs in A tier since this is a general one. I think for bossing, you could potentially put him at S just because he's like pretty much unkillable. And that is, you know, like I've mentioned a couple of times now, the biggest downfall to people in public lobbies. They are always dying. So take Ajax. I believe there's some way you can build him to actually give shields to your allies. I might have to go double check that. People playing Ajax are just going to be much more tankier for boss fights, so it is just much more nice. And you can also be the dedicated reser, so you can go ahead and res people, chuck up your shield. Oh, that's one thing I did forget to mention, Eugene. Another thing that makes him so good is his passive lets you raise people faster, so that's why he's really good at public lobbies. Then moving back to our boy Ajax, you can build him up super tanky and make, I think I've seen a build where he has like 120, 130k shields. It is just for a small duration, using like a buff he has, but during that duration of that buff, you cannot die basically. 130k shield, it's insane amount of shield. Just let your head wrap around that. The usual Descendant's probably around like 1 to 2k shields at max without building into it. And he has 120k plus. That's a crazy amount of shield. And he also, his skills do scale off of your, I believe it's your HP and your defense. So you do more damage with him by building him more tanky. That's why I think he's really good overall. And then his mobbing potential with like the Hulk smash build is not bad either. That's why I think he sits pretty good at the A tier, as he's pretty good at both. Not the best at mobbing, not the worst. And he's also really good at bossing by just staying alive and providing you that, you know, flat weapons platform where you can just use a gun. I believe his Bubble Dome, if you use that with full void energy, does give you increased firearm attack as well. So then he is also technically a weapons platform for your Descendants because of that firearm attack buff. And I believe that is group wide if they just come into your bubble and grab it when you do build an enhanced bubble. And then we move on to Volia, and I think she deserves a little higher spot than Ajax, but not quite S tier as an overall ranking. Maybe for bossing, she could scrape into the S tier like A plus because of supply moisture just being insane on her. It gives a crazy amount of crit. I wish this was group wide, but yeah, it's not. It's a crazy amount of crit that it does provide there. That's why I say she's pretty good at mobbing and for bossing as well. I have a really weird setup on my Volby where it kind of takes the effect of Walker Tightrope and the Annihilator set, and I have managed to get a 27-second kill on Executioner before he even goes immune, using my Volby and that weird build with Supply Moisture on the Greg. So she has some pretty crazy bossing potential. I think if I go and refine that build, I could even get her to pretty much one-phase all the bosses like pre-Frostwalker, because Supply Moisture is just so good on her with that increased crit on skills and weapons. I believe it's one of the best, if not the best, Transcendence mod in the game so far for me, but obviously we haven't tried out everything. I just believe it's a very strong Transcendence mod, and that's why Volby lands at A, possibly even A+, almost in the S tier for me at mobbing and at bossing. She's really good overall. She's tanky, she's got crowd control, she's got dot damage, she's just really good and fun. And she's got the best ability in the game with the anti-unit collision thing, you know, the cleanup skill where she can actually go and turn into water, and then she can run through enemies without colliding with them and players. That's just so fun and relaxing, coming from Bunny and spinning around a lot and then, you know, bumping into people. That's why I just really do like my Volby and playing her like that. And then moving on to our Frost Queen VS, I think she kind of fits in somewhere around here. Definitely better than these, but, you know, maybe on the same level as these guys. She's really good at mobbing, but only small areas. Her AoE is not too massive. You can get it up to about 17 meters on the Blizzard. So it's a pretty decent AoE. And the way I have my VS built for cold-bloodedness, that just, you can always have the Blizzard up at all times. So it's like a nice little area denial for any small area that you're going to be farming and mob spawn, like spawn camping mobs and stuff like that. She is undoubtedly even better than Bunny at that. If it's just a small little area that you're trying to control, she will do it better than Bunny. She'll kill them before they even spawn if you're just dropping your blizzards there. with the cold-bloodedness build. And then if you build her like kind of tanky, she's not bad for bossing either. She can become really tanky with just a few little defense mods, but her skills aren't really that useful in bossing, although it is pretty nice to run around the frost roads and then freeze everything on the ground. And you know, you'll slow down the ads and stuff, because the ads are really annoying in some boss fights, as they always knock you and, you know, interrupt whatever you're doing, whether it's reloading, using a skill, or just making your mental focus stacks drop. So it's not bad. I do like her overall. She was my starting character, and I really do like the Frost Queen build that I have on her. Check that out on YouTube. It's really fun. It lets you feel like a Frost Mage. You can just spam all your skills, and it does a crazy amount of damage. Now, I would actually place her at like S+ if we're just talking about Void Reactors. So whenever we're doing Void Reactor bosses, she is my go-to, because I can throw down that Blizzard and it just instant kills enemies, and it also kills their little balls above the head. You know, when they go immune and they summon those little balls, if you do have like good enough range on your Blizzard, that's going to kill them as well. So she's my go-to Void Reactor farmer. That's kind of why I built her up. But then moving on to Kyle, you guys know Kyle is another guy, another boy with a dream. You know, he had his little era, the Kyle era. Rest in peace, Kyle, from, you know, 2024 to 2024. It is what it is. He did what he could. He shined for a little bit. He had his moment in the spotlight. But I do think he is in need of a buff. He's not actually bad overall. He just doesn't really do anything better than anybody else. I mean, he has pretty good survivability, but if you're just staying alive and you don't have like good ad clear or good boss damage, then staying alive is super simple on any Descendant. All you do is you put on some defense and HP mods, and any Descendant can stay alive, you know, just playing a little bit smart. So that's why I don't think maybe he could go B, but again, these two definitely need some loving, and I hope they will get some loving in the future, as they just don't really provide anything right now. They don't do anything better than anybody else. That's why, yeah, I mean, that's cool. You can fly around on him, so he's pretty fun build. But again, if you're going to be mobbing, you're going to be taking Bunny. If you're going to be bossing, you're going to be taking pretty much one of these S tier bosses, or maybe even some of the A tier bosses, as he just makes you a little bit tanky and doesn't give you any options at, you know, like firepower tackles. You could say Ajax just makes you tanky as well, but Ajax does provide the shielding for the team, as well as that firearm attack buff in his dome. So that's why I think he just doesn't really have a place right now. And then moving on to our fire boy, the chef, Mr. Blair. I believe he belongs around about there in the B tier. I don't think he really does anything better than these characters, but definitely maybe a little bit better than all of these. His mobbing is okay. His bossing is okay. He did get a buff recently. Like, I think it increased most of all of his skills range. I think he still needs more, but I have seen people do some crazy builds on him where he has like a really strong bossing build. But again, that's very niche for that big fireball. And you have to work, I believe you have to work around multi-talented with that. I'm just not a fan of multi-talented, as it just doesn't seem to work properly for me. Maybe my game's bugged, maybe my brain's bugged, who knows. But yeah, multi-talented doesn't work as I think it should be working in my game. So I think he's pretty good. I do like Blair, so I'm going to leave him there. Maybe it could go into like right at the end of Ajax, but for now we're just going to leave him in B for Blair. Bad. Yeah, it is what it is. If you like Blair, like I said, play Blair. It's your choice, your character, your game. Have fun. And then we're moving on to the Poison Queen, Freyna. I believe she belongs in the A tier, right over there in the middle. She's not the greatest, but she's definitely not the worst. She's pretty good at mobbing and bossing. Again, I have not built her fully yet, but when we get her ultimate version in Season 1, I'm going to go ahead and juice her up. I'm probably going to build her as a bosser. I've seen people do some crazy stuff with her as a bossing character, but again, I think it is using multi-talented, unfortunately, but we'll have to see if we can't figure out why multi-talented doesn't work for me. Overall, I think she's a good place at A over there. Not the best at anything, but not the worst at anything either. Pretty decent mobber, pretty decent bosser, and she is also the only poison type Descendant, so you will need her in your kit to go ahead and farm those pesky void fragments. And then last but not least, we have Queen Glade. I'm going to put her up in S. I think she's not better than Enzo, but I do think she's better than Lepic. She is your go-to sustained damage boss dealer. Now, she's actually pretty hard to play. I have been playing her recently on stream, as we're going to be finishing our build video on her pretty soon. So we're trying to get some practice in with her. And she is a very different type of a playstyle. I mean, you've got to be playing with your health instead of, you don't have any shields, and you are using your health to pretty much do everything. But the damage she can output is insane. With public lobbies, it's kind of a nightmare with her, but every now and then you do get some team members that can just stay alive. Because if you're raising somebody on her, that's not good for you, because you're pretty much going to die, because you're always low health on her. Because you are obviously using your life to, you know, empower all your skills. But the Massacre build on her just does insane amounts of sustained damage. That's why I think she is better than Lepic for bossing, especially in the long run, because the fights are going to be more about, you know, having good sustainable damage. She also does have burst damage with the Massacre. She just has really solid damage during the Massacre. The only problem is the playstyle. It's not for everybody. You do have to watch your health a lot. and make sure that as soon as the bosses start shooting you, you know, get out of there. Don't die, because a dead teammate is a bad teammate. If you're dead, you're not doing any damage, and you're also making somebody else not do damage by trying to raise you. And just try not to die. That's like one of the worst things in the intercept bosses. But overall, I think Glade is an S tier character. She's very strong for bossing. You just need to get used to her. And if you have a Eugene on your team, will probably make her even stronger. Maybe you could just run full Slayer set then with Eugene instead of Annihilation, because he'll just pretty much always keep you topped up. But again, she is pretty tanky. It's just, you know, it's like a really different kind of a playstyle, as you're always going to be playing with low health because of how she works. So it is something you do need to get adjusted to, but once you get the hang of it, I believe Glade is very, very strong. But the only reason I don't have her higher than Enzo is because, in my opinion, for the average player, Enzo is just the best bosser all around right now, as you can just press that on-demand shield and stay alive all the time, and it gives your team crazy amounts of damage as well as the ammo. So that's going to be it for my overall tier list. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of comments, you know, disagreeing with that, but that's how tier list goes, boys. This is my opinion. Leave down below what do you guys think of it, if you liked it, if you whatever you didn't like about it. Chuck down below your favorite Descendant. I'd love to know what your guys' favorite Descendant is. Also, drop on by the streams at twitch.tv/Augiesaint. I love to see you guys there. We're pretty much always farming and grinding something and chatting away and helping the chat as much as we can. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like and sub the channel. Helps me out so much. And I'll catch you beautiful people in the next video as well as the streams. Augiesaint out.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying